Okay, so if just you answer on, so if everybody could mute themselves unless they are reading, in which case definitely unmute yourself. We'll have some unmuting episodes for wild applause. Um, and apart from that, then the running order is that Chris is going to introduce things. Chris was our excellent judge for the pamphlet competition. Then Anne's going to do a reading. Then we have Mary's going to introduce the rest of the readers, who are readers whose poems were spotted by Chris as potential ones for the competition winners. And then Anne's going to read a little bit more, and then Vanessa, who excellently took on the editing role of Anne's pamphlet, is going to sort of wind it up, and then you can all go home. That's sort of how we're going to do it. So I'll hand over to Chris. Just say thanks to Chris very much for all. He did an enormous amount of work and did a very detailed report for us as the judge. And if you want to add comments about the poems or the poets as you go along, then you can do that through the chat, and we will save the chat at the end, and you can review it later. So I shall now mute myself and hand over to Chris.
Well, good evening, and thank you for asking me to judge this. It was a very interesting and rewarding, not financially, I might add, experience, but it was a real pleasure to read all these poems, and some of, as I've said, a lot of very impressive work. Now, I don't come to the task of judging with a preconception of what I'm looking for, though I do have preconceptions about poems, like I prefer Edward Thomas to Dylan Thomas, that sort of thing. But I read the poems, see how they affect me. And in the process, I became aware that what connects with me is writing that, while it might contain philosophy, polemic, altruism, history, politics, it's none of these things. Poetry is the thing itself. Important matters that the writer seems compelled to express about life, their lives, that might also engage a reader, but that's not the intention. That's secondary to the personal discovery that is the poem. That's how it seems to me. The writer has found something that they knew. They didn't know they knew it until it surfaced in the words. The language of poetry is curtailed, concise, precise, and because of that compression, it allows for ambiguity and possibility. The poet may have a different understanding of their poem from that of those who read it, who become owners of it too. A poem is a few words set down inside nothing, a blank page. So many of the poems in the commended and prize-winning collections state in a few lines what it would have taken a novelist 50 pages to write. Because a poem requires the reader to do much of the feeling and reflection that a novelist will provide for the reader. But one essential element is that the poet makes us see the ordinary and everyday as if for the first time. Selecting the shortlist, and especially the winner, from the 18 very good pamphlets in the long list was difficult. And there's an element of unfairness about this, which is unavoidable. The 5 in the shortlist are, in their own ways, as good as each other and could have won. They all really have something to say and know how they wish to say it, with a clear understanding that poetry is a way of using language distinct from other forms of writing. Now, here's a few remarks about the commended and highly commended submissions. Apologies in advance for any mispronunciations. 2000 Cerulean, there's a mispronunciation straight away, probably, by Julie Runacres, or Runacres. These poems are really intense and clever and controlled. They're a commentary on how the superficial world of luxurious decoration and affluence coexists alongside, depends on, and yet avoids the poverty, oppression, and lethal violence that our way of life creates and attempts to control. Kitsch. Now, I really don't know how to say that, but I've said it. Judith Wozniak, poems about a forgotten way of life in Wales, growing up on a farm, visiting seaside resorts that create a distinct sense of place and culture. The poems radiate a warm, affectionate longing for a secure family past, inescapably lost to time and change, and they endeavor also to let the lost voices of ordinary people be heard. Dancing with Eve, Sharon Ashton. The theme is women and womanhood, being a woman with other women, girls and men, presented through the lives of women, mythical female beings, and historic figures. The collection ends with 3 poems in which a daughter watches and also remembers her mother. The language and phrasing is impassioned and rich and always suited to what the writer feels must be said. Making Dolmades in Essex, also by Judith Wozniak, a child of a single, sad mother in Essex, is befriended by a Greek family who move in next door. There's a vivid sense of a warm-hearted and affectionate suburban community, and how ordinary life, neighbors, friends, youthful romance goes on all the time, concealing and revealing the deepest needs and emotions. You may have noticed that several of these are about community, and so is the winning pamphlet. And I'm sure we've all been very aware of community recently. So I'm glad that this has come up this week. All these fine submissions deserve this prize. But as in a race or a cup final, someone has to win, even if the teams are equal. And I chose Ordinary Magic by Anne Craig as the winner of the first Alchemy Spoon Poetry Pamphlet Competition. This seems to me to be a highly innovative set of poems, employing an accomplished use of dialect, the sound and feel of which creates the atmosphere of the protagonist's specifically located domestic lives. Honoring a mother who has ordinary magic, which is the power and knowledge to bring up children in a hard, proud, confident, working-class environment, and despite everything, spread happiness and comfort. The sequence commences with a son or a daughter saying farewell by cleaning the house of every speck left by the departed practitioner of ordinary magic. There follow poems showing that the mother was intent on making her children see how the world is a sort of heaven, as well as making it so for them. The final poem about an old man is sorrowing and brave. The dialect carefully spelled out to portray not just a man, but also, through the precision of the phrasing, a distinct sense of sadness, loss, and of how a cultural unit, a community, sustains itself and its members through everything we all have to face. This collection also has something unusual in poetry today, maybe any day. It celebrates and embraces life in all its hardship, poverty, death, and it does this through its evocation of the central figure of the mother who knows what life is and loves it. So thank you very much to all of you for submitting your pamphlets, giving me the pleasure and everybody else of reading them. And I'll hand over with great congratulations to Anne.
Thank you very much. I'm a bit overwhelmed by that, Chris. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to start with reading Witch's Goodbye, which Chris said so adequately was a leave-taking. Witch's Goodbye. It took 7 days to say goodbye. First, I pulled all your hair to the hairbrush and let it fly away on the wind. I shook the quilt. It sighed. One solitary feather floated out, was lost. I retuned the radio, enjoyed the static, new voices telling me new things. I raked out the fire, reset it, old burnt out ashes ditched. I scrubbed the laundry bag, thick with remembered intimacies. I drank that bottle of bubbly, let the fizz dance in my veins. I lit a bonfire, an egg eye, whirled like a dervish in the flames. On the 8th day, I boiled bones for soup. The next one is School Shoes, 1956. As I was falling asleep, I heard banging on the big heavy thing Daddy uses to fix the shoes. Nails held in his teeth, glasses up in his head, eyes down. Daddy's done your shoes, hen, and you've new cardboard soles. Pick your feet, 'cause water'll seep in if you jump puddles. Tug of the scarf, oven-warmed gloves on, cutting through the bark port past hour-flowing middens, wee figures marching out for the nest like soldier ants, up the steps of the railway bridge, jostling for space to feel the hot steam for the big train passing below, gone somewhere. Wee army stepping out, thumping down the metal stairs to our battle grun, that brand new sandstone school. Our mammy's hopes pinned for us to win another kind of war. Education their weapon, fighting for a world where school shoes have nae holes. I'm not going through the whole book, but I am the first three. Okay. The Cauldron. You can smell the ferrets, Daddy. Aye, and they can smell you, hen. Stoning on a sugary chair, she's allowed to stir the bubbling pot. A wizard, her da, food for nothing. Mammy says that's real magic. Hair culling with the steam, her job to stop it sticking. The smell so rich, he felt he must have eaten something. Then a slow simmer and a rest, as he'd bow down as he tastes. Mammy laughing. Ma man, the chef. Windy steamed up, rain outside. The oilcloth on the table scrubbed, waiting for the ladling out. Cool enough for wee fingers dipping. Da, it's the best in the world. Mammy birling her. So's your daddy, hen. Lingering on your tongue and your nose, melting into your bones. That big pot of rabbit stew. Bubbling, simmering a wall, warming. Mammy whispering in your ear, made with love for a dark day. There's a bit of a change of pace now. Last year, I had cause to dip into this 5-year diary that I was given by my mother when I was 13, and that wasn't yesterday. And it did come with a key to lock it, but I suspect there was 2 keys, and my mother kept one. So I wrote it in code, most of this diary, which I found hard to decipher. But when I was looking at it, I realised 1963 was quite a key year in a young girl's life growing up in Glasgow. So it's diary from an extract, 1963, the year I had to do something. April the 4th, today my pal told me a huge secret. I can't tell you, even for a packet of cheese and onion crisps. I promised her in the life of my wee Doug, who's got to go and live with my Auntie Bessie because my Uncle David died suddenly. You've got to give a little, take a little, and let your poor heart break a little. My mammy's favourite song. Who's got to go away again? She bought me a lovely suit, dyed it dark brown. Mammy says, hen, better deed than out of fashion. I never regret when she went to the hospital, but I wore my posh suit just to see her off. You've got to laugh a little and cry a little before the clouds roll by a little. June the 9th. Best day of my life so far. I won a huge prize. Even my daddy was smiling. My drama teacher gave me a cake to celebrate. I got excited, jumped on a school desk and wrote the belt for my maths teacher. As long as there's the 2 of us, we've got the world and all its charms. I tell my dad, Miss Barr hasn't got any charms. Her mouth's drawn down, her nose is slipping off her face. My daddy said, hen, some folk come out their mammy moaning. Doesn't say much, my daddy, but he's clever. October the 8th. I became politic. Me and my pal sat down in George Square to ban the bomb. My daddy packed us pieces with ham and gave me his flag. He said it was his banner when he marched with a man he called McLean. Then me and my posh pal Selena decided our school had to come out and strike. November 22nd. 15 of us walked out the period after the interval, got our wee bottles of milk first. We sat down in front of the big school gate with a big sheet and we'd painted on it, "What's the point of going to school to learn things if we're all going to be blown up by the bomb?" We were there for the whole period. Then the bell rang. Every teacher in the school came out and dragged us one by one back into the hall. Nobody cared about caring C's in the days. It was merely of a smash and grab technique. The Heedy was there. And you know, I really liked him. Loads of teachers were shouting, then silence as he stood up to speak. "This is no way to express your opinions. If you feel strongly about something, use the proper channels. Make your voice heard in an effective way. Just troublemakers and rabble-rousers. It's a way for young girls to act." That day, my fate was sealed. I became a troublemaker and a bit of rabble-rouser. I marched for every injustice and was very effective at having my voice heard. I used to wear skirts to school unless the boys said to wear them too. And now a wee fawn Wayne can stand on the TV and tell us how this world is going to die. That's definitely how a lassie should act. December 17th, 2023, my birthday. I'm older now. My mammy and daddy are gone long since, and I'm not sure if I made a difference in the world. But I heard two wee women blathering on the bus, talking about me. "So, Noah, lassie, hats, put the papers." Is that not a great epitaph? You've got to win a little, lose a little, and sometimes have the blues a little. As my mammy says, that's the glory of love. I don't know how I'm doing time-wise, Roger. Am I doing okay? I think I'm okay. Maybe? Okay.
Yep, you're doing fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go for another one. Okay. World made magic. She walks you to the nearest green space. Buses are for folk who can't use their legs hen. After miles, she covers your eyes. New pet, when you open your wee een, soak up all the magic of this fairy den. They're only letting us in 'cause it's the first day of spring. A banquet of snowdrops, crocuses, bluebells, dandelion clocks drift in the slanting light, new yellow gorse, pigeons' secret coos. In heaven, you eat jam pieces and chocolate buttons. She crowns you with daisy chains. My ain wee fairy queen. Look at that sky, wee woman. It's like somebody's lit 1,000 candles. It's enough to give you religion. Just when you think the world's too dark to fathom, the light comes back. We've got to look after it all, though. We've only got one world. It's up to us. Like conspirators, she tells you of mountains with secret caves, great rivers with magical beasts, enchanted forests full of elves. It's all wonderment. Smells of warm earth, cool winds cooling down beside the big tree. "This is Ma Wayne, Mr. Tree. She's just came to say hello." The branches rustle. "Can she, Bonnie?" Takes after her mammy. "Dinna worry. Tell her all about the growing things." The road back seems longer, peppered with treats, ice cream, jelly babies. The last part hazy, being carried close in that golden sunset down grey streets. Clothes come off, a damp sponge wipes sticky hands, a wind-slapped face, gentle kisses on your nose, eyes closed. The allowed bunch of wild flowers in a jam jar beside the bed. That lingering smell of honey gorse and her. Okay. This one's called Gathering Whelks. Whelks and buckies, I'm not quite sure what you would call them, but whelks is what we call them. Skirt tucked in knickers, sun-bleached hair tied back, nose burnt peeling, bare young feet sure on sharp rocks, each plundered whelk a prize to rattle into the sandy pail. Sun dips low, fires lit, buckets of seawater boil, booty shared, cool breeze, cardigans, tin mugs ready, wax twist of pepper. We sit on damp sand with pins to delve, black dots plucked, stuck on wee faces. "Mammy, I've got measles." We laugh at the old joke. We pull out the treat, salty, hot, fresh, a feast for queens. The last few relished, shells returned to the sea, hands washed in waves, sand brushed off toes, socks pulled on by expert hands, sandals found. Wee hands held safe, still skipping, lifted high, tumbling our wilkies between them. Okay, probably the last one for here. Glasgow Fair Alchemy. The Glasgow Fair is a holiday, fortnight's holiday in Glasgow. Glasgow Fair Alchemy. Summer was the fair fortnight. Money for the shows on Glasgow Green. Warm metal smells. Candy floss splitting like a peary in a waltzer cup. Holiday clays on the kitchen pulley. New shorts, plastic sandals. A wee sherry for my mammy. Seaside sand between her toes. Sunburn. Hot face on her pillow. Fish and chips, fresh air, pink rocks, sticky fingers. For a minute, that other life. Then all that mattered was the giggling and the secrets. She doesn't remember when it changed, when she started trailing behind, fed up, out of sorts with her body, going for long walks on the beach, wanting to go in the rain, but no really. That night he was there with a big dog. It shook its long coat, soaking him. He laughed, so did she. He turned and smiled at her. Legs went to jelly. All the biology lessons making sense at last. Hot face on her pillow. I think that's the 15 minutes. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anne. That was absolutely lovely. It was a joy to hear the poems being read in your voice. And it's a wonderful pamphlet. And congratulations. And also congratulations to Clayhanger Press on producing such a beautiful pamphlet. So my role now is to introduce some of our runners-up, who Chris mentioned just a little while ago, all of whom were long-listed. First up, we'll be hearing from Judith Wozniak, whose two submissions were both commended. Then we're going to hear from Laura Stanley, Neil Douglas, Louise Walker, Sharon Ashton, whose submission was commended, then Michael Klimes, Morag Smith, Veronica Zundel, Penny Schutt, Sarah Jury, and rounding up the section, we'll hear from Julie Runacres, who was runner-up and highly commended in the competition. They're all glorious poems, and I'm so pleased that you've all got this, the box of comfits, because I've really been enjoying these. So anyway, over to you, and we'll be starting with Judith.
Hello, I'm Judith Wozniak. Congratulations, Anne. I love listening to your poems. I'm going to read The Boy Trevor. I watch our neighbours from my bedroom. Trevor kicks his football against the wall, thud, thud, until his mum raps on the window, clattering her rings against the glass. His dad mows the grass up and down in stripes. The mum appears with a basket of washing, pegs fanned between her teeth, hair hidden under a chiffon scarf, one roller peeping out under a knot at the front. Trevor shows off if he knows I'm looking, doing his Charlie Chaplin impression, twirling a garden cane he's pinched from the wigwam holding up their runner beams, or cartwheels across the grass so his shorts slip down enough to flash the pale hull of his hips. I'm revising, listening to Downtown on a loop. When it's dark, he'll climb the apple tree at the bottom of the garden, call out, cuckoo, cuckoo, until I turn on my light. Thank you.
I think the idea was that you were just going to run on. So after Judith, it's Laura Stanley.
Yeah, sorry, I'm on my phone and I couldn't work out myself. Sorry about sorry for that pause, guys. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I think I'm having technical issues. Can you still hear me? Sorry, guys.
We can hear you. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm sorry. I'll just start and sorry, stop wasting everyone's time. Sorry. At first, she is a shadow behind a curtain. No one knows who she is. This newcomer, stranger, outsider. Like spores, rumours grow and thicken through the streets. The locals hurl stones at her window. Manure splatters glass. The nurses are hiding something. The shadow is a popish idol. No, the shadow is the real Virgin Mary. A visitation, a reincarnation, a pill of light flickering in a dark country.
Oh. Hello, everybody. My name is Neil Douglas. Congratulations, Anne. Wonderful poems. I'm going to read a poem called When I Came to Visit You at Home. When I came to visit you at home, your dog's eyes always followed me around the room, showing me to my seat on your brown Parker Knoll, shining, intensely black, but somehow still. And I found that stillness reassuring as we sat and talked about bunions and loneliness and the irrelevant necessity of Viagra. Because I was used to arriving at other visits, anxious, greeted by the muscled thud of a growling torso launched against the door frame inside. Is only being playful, the other owners used to say, between the snarls, the barks, the saliva dripped like wet elastic in time to the beat of my fear. But then there was your dog, good dog, so affectionate, so obedient, so still. A tribute to your loving care and the almost obsolete art of a Bow Road taxidermist. Thank you.
I think I'm going to have to just interrupt here. I'm terribly sorry. I think I missed out Zoe. Zoe Green was supposed to read after Judith, and I don't know how that slipped out from my list here, and many apologies. Could you now read Zoe? And then after Zoe, we'll go on with Louise Walker, Sharon Ashton, Michael Climbs, Morag Smith, Veronica Sundell, Penny Schutt, Sarah Jury, and Julianne Akers.
Hi, no worries. This is the Goose Mother. The stubble alight in the dusk, bitter smoke. Overgrown ditches lead the road astray from our house. Sepia, dead grass, cracked snails, field mice fleeing, my mother's strides. She is as complete, immaculate as a curling stone skimming across ice, or the first boulder to tumble onto the road in a landslide. Her own person. Wait for me! A crying bleat, the boulder turns, observes. Wait for me! It mocks, then hurry up. The geese crackle above, their arrow pointing south. My mother's coat is goose down. The geese she keeps have their wings clipped. They will always have to wait. They will never be their wild sisters. She makes me shut the gate, collect their eggs, make headdresses out of their feathers. Thank you.
The Spectacular Spinning Songbook Tour, 2011. After my brother dies young, a mixtape plays in my head for 2 decades, as I imagine him fixing anything that needs to be fixed, providing mum with grandchildren, always there in his turquoise 2CV to give me a lift. Whenever I find a band that none of my friends like, I know he would have gone to see them with me. And when one of the couples called up to the stage at the Albert Hall by Elvis Costello to choose a song reveals their brother and sister. There's a stranger in the darkness next to me. As Elvis and the band play, every day I write the book.
Ilaria Triptych. Ilaria del Corretto, 1379 to 1405, second wife of Paolo Guinigi, Lord of Lucca, died in childbirth. Her tomb in the cathedral at Lucca has never held her body. Blue. To endure all that my mother told me must be endured, I take flight. Upwards, upwards, upwards I soar to the frescoed ceiling above my husband's bed. Hovering beneath winter, spring, summer, and autumn, before swooping and forcing myself between birds that gather in blossoms of white and saffron, calling down to my marble self from the citrus sweet air, remember, Ilaria, remember the moment everything changed. And when the moment comes, it is suffused with blue, not the boasting lapis of my husband's house, but the watery blue of a morning sky above Liguria, as it clashes with mauve fringes of alpine snowbells. The black-rimmed blue I saw once in the eyes of a wolf tracked down and caged by my father. The strawberry rippled blue above my mother's garden. That evening they found me and said the time had come. Childbirth. The corridors that separate me from men whisper, hush, take off your shoes, the lady is sleeping. But the child lies on my heart, I cannot sleep. Close the casements gently, her breathing is soft. But the child lies on my lungs, I cannot breathe. When she wakes, perhaps she will eat. But the child lies on my stomach, I cannot eat. Only when I am safely delivered will I eat. I will eat almond pastries and apples wrapped in soft cheese dough from my mother's majolica dish. She talks of her dead mother. Pray it is not the fever. The gold-rimmed dish painted with Our Lady enfolding sweet Jesus in her dress of blue. I have prayed to Our Lady and Juno Lucina. I have worn the rank marten pelt against my skin. I have made myself invisible in my husband's house. After death. In transept dim light they dance about my tomb, some interested only in the dog at my feet, a dog for a faithful body. But what choice did we have? Maria before me, Piacentina and Jacoba after. We were merely land for Lucca to sow and harvest, our days measured with child or not with child. And now attendants scold these scurrying children. Shh, shh, the beautiful lady sleeps, but they cannot wake me. I do not lie here.
Death Notice by Michael Klemesh. Take 3 posters and 9 pins to hang news at 3 entrances. Stick the pins firmly into the communal board and feel the pricks on your skin. Then go upstairs to the flat to get what you can never get back. Before you do, stop at Janita's to hand over a page, a personal touch. After, pour life into Bubby's plants as she once poured love into you. Call up Mum and find out what other items you need to bring to the funeral. Take 3 bags full of china that belonged to your great-grandmother, Rozhenka. We'll use them after the funeral for the evening supper. They are the ones with the purple flowers on them. Pack them carefully. Do not break even one. I also grab a wedding photo. There is no time for tears. It must be done.
Hi, I'm Morag Smith. I hope you can all see me at the moment, and I'm going to read my poem from the anthology, which is called Pitsamo. Pitsamo. Before the Arctic Ocean highway, there's me, a farmer's wife, the blizzard that lasts 6 days, my enamelled milk jug on the table, a bowl of pickled herring for dinner, my husband who reads the Bible out, stumbles on every word, asks me if I'm happy. Are you sure you've closed the gates? His voice scraping like birch bark. My walk to the kitchen door, my prayer for something like silence, the step, grandmother's voice as she sews my wedding clothes, tells me what not to expect. Down to sleet, thick as darkness, that wind, its pull, stronger than his arms. Without snowshoes, it takes 3 hours to make 12 metres in that waist-deep white. Instead of a timber fence, trees, bitter fingers, numb hands, crisp tears, a crumb of bread, scraps of cloth, red like my woolen shirt. I should have used a rope. I should have told him to stand and call my name. Rusted nails from wooden soles, a tooth-marked femur, marrow sucked. Before the thaw, there's my bed, the forest, spooned warm around me, cold lamps of eyes. The fox whips his tail, ribbons across a studded sky, blinking down at something uncovered. Me, a farmer's wife, wishes granted. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Veronica Zundel, and my poem is called Toya Wilcox and Robert Fripp cover Heroes in Lockdown on VE Day. He's thrashing the Bowie riff, that urgent beat, and she's singing the lyrics, holding up scrawled signs that say, Uncle Bill Fripp, who helped plan the Great Escape, which failed, and my daddy stationed in the Med. And I'm remembering a photo of my dad and another medical student standing either side of a human head on a dissecting table. Of my parents' refugee wedding with mum's hem coming down and the grocery flowers still in their paper to be put in a jam jar on an orange box draped in cloth in Prospect Road, Swiss Cottage. There are no pictures, as far as I know, of Dad lying in a ward with only 3 walls in Ware Sanatorium. One lung collapsed, breathing fresh air, which was all they had then, pre-penicillin, for TB. 1941. And I'm thinking the real heroes weren't those who banked planes between flak or fought on the beaches, giving blood, toil, tears and sweat, but maybe those who never took arms, who stood in queues, ration book ready, for a can of pilchards, though with mum's accent, the woman kept giving her peaches. She who wore her mother's best dress to get married in, though it didn't fit anymore, because of all the biscuits she'd eaten, ravenous, in service in Manchester. Who at just 23 had left that mother in Vienna and would never see or hear from her again. Who charred for the rich of Hampstead Garden suburb because Dad was so ill and not yet licensed to practice. Sleeping in the tube every night under the sirens, or stood crying on a crossroads in Hertford, looking for somewhere to live away from bombs and smoke. Moving 14 times in 2 years, digs to digs. Spending their lives in exile, neither belonging to one place nor the other. who would lose their clever, rootless son, plummeting drugged, despairing from a psychiatric ward window, and who, for my sake, carried on living, working, healing lung-choked miners, smokers, building a home from the wreck of our family, telling me all the stories so I could be here and write.
Gosh, that was so moving, Veronica. That's by lowering the tone with my one next. Mine's called Student. I'm Penny Shutt, and this is Student Teacher. He arrived for just one term, ruddy-cheeked and fresh out of Oxbridge. Miss Webb's scowl was relegated to a seat at the back of 6A, one heel dangling from the ball of her arched foot, as he leant corduroy-clad thighs on the desk in front of ours, cupped the book of poems in his hands like a baby animal, and read to us the works of Keats and Clare and Plath and Blake for the first time, whilst we crammed what he told us of their lives, penciling the romance of their lunacy into the empty space around the text. After school, we swapped our streams of furtive imaginings over MSN, mocked the plum miniskirt Miss Webb turned up in one day, so short David Robinson had to shield his eyes with his Liber Archvile. We could tell she wanted him too. The trickle of his voice on Thursday afternoons, his vowels thrumming in our minds on the bus home as the sky darkened and we became secretive about sharing notes, burned for the rapture of his inky scrawl on the tops of the essays that we offered up, warm from the printer and straining just beyond the word count. Thank you.
Sorry. I'm Sarah Drury, and my poem is called A Sonnet to the Nurse Who Said I Should Never Have a Child. The room a crypt, my gown a sterile rag. Your words a serpent twisted like a noose. I am a mermaid washed up on shingle shore. Carrageen shrouds my ashen face. Sailors husk my iridescent scales. They shout, "Sexy leg, psychotic whore!" Then toss my womb, barnacles encrust, placenta staining Indian Ocean currents. I rise, a lunatic, silent, medicated, thrashing like a bird encased in steel. Angel of the North. I mutilate my clitoris with Lalique glass I can't afford. My hands clutch remnants of an embryo, my uterus imbrued beneath blood moon. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Julie Rennickers, and I'm reading 2001 Fuchsia Rose. 2001 Pantone 17-20-31 Fuchsia Rose. A bright, feel-good, feminine colour, Fuchsia Rose is passionate, intense and exciting. Unreal. Shining city on a hill. Falling towers. Mental videotape on perpetual loop. Through military binoculars, journalist Conor O'Clery spies man, 30s, clinging to a window strut on North Tower, 90+ floors up, waving white cloth, looks like his shirt, soundless shapes descend in air, arms outstretched in crucifixion. It's like 10 seconds down to Veazey, flesh atomized like pollen. John Malley, firefighter, FDNY, steps through revolving doors of 7, thinks, what the hell? This force that's going on must be concussion from some explosion. Turns out it's down pressure wind of 110 stories beginning their imploding. When the building pops an orange flash, a strap of fire, and pops again, like every floor goes chit, 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 and pancakes down. Can't see up, can't see back, can't outrun it. It's like it just keeps on coming, piling up and up, loads of cementation, powdery insulation, a blizzard with metal, whatever you call it, in it. He guesses this is what it's like to be dead, and not sure he isn't, all full of the cloud. They're all eating the cloud, whatever it's like. Very thick, not smoke. It's like everything, like a sandstorm, and so silent now it's down. Before the Maydays start and the guys all screaming. Now he's looking at the sound, looks up and it looks like a ticker-tape parade with all this stuff starts coming down a piece of keyboard, not 4-inch square. Thank you.
That was a gorgeous, gorgeous treat from the box of comfits. And they were all so varied and reflect the challenge it must have been for Chris in making his choice. But now it's back to Anne to hear some more of her prize-winning poems from her beautiful Ordinary Magic.
Oh gosh, I never put anything in the chat there. I just was completely overwhelmed. Fabulous work, folks. It's just lovely. Great. So vivid. Okay, I'll bring the tone down with Gallus enough. Gallus is a Scottish word for bold girls, being bold. She remembers Gallus lasses hanging round closes, each open and enticing, full of secret goings-on. She's no allowed. Wait till you're bigger, her sister says. It seems boring, Gallus. She's different. Maybe times changed. But she couldn't conjure Gallus at all. Being cheeky wasn't enough. Anybody can do that, her sister would say. But only some folk can master real Gallus. Her mammy says, they Gallus lasses are one step awa'. She's no sure what for. They're high laughing and calling out to the laddies coming out the cord factory. One warm summer's day, she went to. She was 14, wearing her first ladybird bra, hair loose. He stopped in front of her. You're a bonny blonde, his green eyes laughing. She tried think Gallus. She failed, went brick-red and dropped her head. He laughed again, but gentle when he said, "'Sure name, wee lassie." She mumbled back. He lifted her chin and kissed her straight on the mouth. All the other laddies were shouting, the lasses were laughing and giggling. She just looked at his big green eyes. She never did learn Gallus. She learned mair. He still lifts her head and kisses her softly. Their green eyes crinkled at the corners. Okay, can I do another one? Is that okay? Okay. Okay. This is school shoes, a wee bit different. I sometimes rant. I do a lot of ranting. This is a soft ranting called School Shoes in 1956. When we were at school, you did what you were told, or else the teacher would give you the belt. Teachers were a different breed, no grown for 60s flower power seed. No, ours were survivors of World War II. They'd been left angry at me and you. We didn't seem to appreciate the terrible fact that loads of their pals were no coming back. They wanted us to show some appreciation for this gift of life and a good education. So we all wore our ties and stood for the heedy. Who knew we were the poor and the needy? If you couldn't read, they called you cruel name. They didn't say, oh, it's their upbringings to blame. We got free bottles of milk, was smelly and hot, but you had to drink it like it or not. It would build our bones, make us strong. And you know, it did. It grew us bigger and lang. My mammy was only 4'4", but I have to duck to get through the door. Gym was the other thing, made us tough. Teachers, ex-army, made a very certain stuff. Nae lycra for us, just big navy knickers. Take nae notice of the big boy sniggers. This education would give us a better life. You didn't have to be a mother and wife. Rise above it, I was constantly told. Leave the mire behind, reach for the gold. Well, you know, that's just what we did. We took that education. We kent to hid our rough edges and gave us a shine. That life in the pictures, that would be mine. I now look back and know why they gave. They felt it, they owed it to their pals in the grave. The message they carried, give them an education, because it's no bloody war that brings liberation. And I think I'm going to go for my last one, I think. Roger? I keep looking at Roger, but it's not the last one. Is okay? Okay. 23. This is called White Witch. He used to watch her come off the bus, he'd doon. Guessing he might be looking, she'd straighten her shoulders and wave. She'd wanted to emigrate, start over, sever ties of a long-distance knife, but things conspired. She'd got tired and leaving was an effort. On Friday, she'd buy him all the comics with a 5 Boys bar of chocolate. She never missed it. Even when the shilling ran out for the meter, she'd say, "The wind needs something to look forward to. I can sell anything," she used to boast. "Son, I could sell a toothless wee man a hard bit of toast." She taught him all the old songs, how to work hard. Most folk meant well, that poverty of the mind was worse than having nothing to spend. She was bonny. Had been a bit of a catch in her day. Great red curls, long legs, and could she dance? Aye, like Ginger Rogers. But she never got up Fred Astaire. When she came out the barrel, nobody was there. Only him. She'd stay with a cuddle. Okay. I think that's loads from me. And I think I have to thank some people. Well, I know I have to thank some people. First of all, I want to thank every poet here who read tonight. It's such an eye-opener and it's wonderful to hear you all. I wish we could have a night like this every night, just listening to people saying their poem. First, I've got to say thank you to Chris Hardy for actually making me first. Oh my gosh, what a difficult task that must have been. Thank you very, very much. I have also got to thank Clayhanger Press for this opportunity, and the Alchemy Spoon competition was just fantastic. And when I got the results, it came at just a wonderful time. So thank you for that. I have to thank especially Roger and Vanessa, who for her exacting, exciting and educational editing process. It was, she said to me at the very beginning, "Now I don't tinker around the edges, you know." And it just, I've actually written a poem about that because I just thought that was a great thing to have said. I'm not tinkering here. And thanks to everyone who came tonight to support us all. It was greatly appreciated. And I've got to mention, obviously, my family, and I've got to mention Angus Writer Circle, who are just the ones who listen to these, criticise them, and tell me what to do with them and where to go with them. So thanks to everybody. And it was really exciting to be in the hot seat tonight, as well as nerve-wracking. Thank you.
And thank you so much. That was such a terrific reading, and to everybody else. It was such an honor to work with you. And we had, it's very easy to roll your sleeves up and kind of get savage with somebody else's work, but it's quite a hard process to receive. And you did it with absolute grace. And it was lovely to talk to you. And we often got kind of waylaid and talked about our lives and poetry, and it was just a joy and an honor to work with you. And I wish your book absolutely every success. You really deserve it, and don't stop writing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.
And so good night to everyone, and I look forward to the next competition. Bye for now.
Sure.